This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we will get started. I know folks hopefully have heard that the new ESSA screen will affect everyone. I wanted to go to the OPI webpage and make sure you know where to find the latest ESSA guidance document. If you hover over leadership, go to school finance. It is right here, and pull that up. Do please read through this. This is actually the federal statute that requires this reporting, as well as some background information. The districts that are tentatively, because they have multiple address locations, need to report in fiscal year 20 with a school code. And some more discussion for your district leaders, the work group representatives. Again, this work group is still going to continue to meet. If you would like to be part of the work group, it is not an exclusive club. You are welcome to attend with an email to me saying you would like to attend. One of the points I know some of you have heard this multiple times, but I wanted to make sure people were aware. If you want to know what is included in the calculation, it is lined out in this document, and it starts with the expenditure string. So let me reiterate, this only affects expenditures, not revenues. It's expenditure driven. So we have, as a work group, lined out, here's the funds, and it will tell you if they're included in this column ESSA per pupil. And some of these notes, like Fund 15, there's some additional reporting, which is the additional reporting we will go over today. And then it continues on the accounting string to go through the program code assignment, and then the next string level, the function code, and then the object code assignment. So if you were to look at your whole expenditure string, you have to hit yes at each level. Yes, it is the function. Yes, it's the program code. Yes, it's the object code. And I know I missed one in there, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. And another note I just want to go over, special ed cooperatives. We're going to set up a separate discussion with special ed co-ops. Eventually, I'd like to see the co-ops will need to report to each of their member districts their expenditures if possible. So we're going to start that discussion this fall. And this particular section is the section we're talking about with these reporting streams and planning for the future. Again, always email me if you do have questions. So we're all here to talk about the new reporting screen. I am pretending that I'm Bozeman Elementary for the sake of this discussion because I made up a bunch of expenditures for them. So let's say I've gotten through these steps. I entered my project reporter code, did my balance sheet. Now I'm on expenditures. I uploaded my expenditures. So I'm Bozeman. Gone in, particularly Fund 15. So you're going to see new options. Hopefully, if you've had a chance to go into MAEFAIRS and look at these, I know there's a lot of tabs up here and it might seem overwhelming. The new ones are this ESSA LE per pupil reporting expenditure. That will actually take you to the new screen that we're going to discuss. And then, don't hit back in MAEFAIRS. I forget that. On the expenditure screen, I just want to show you that there are links to these. These are reports. So this View, Excel, ESSA reports, all three of these are reports. So how do I know if I am a school district that has to report on these two particular screens? The caveat is on these screens, if I'm Bozeman Elementary and I have a Fund 15 and a Fund 82, and let's say I have a prime applicant for Title I, and I have reported all these Fund 15 expenditures, Sorry, I clicked on the wrong. I want to go back to the expenditure screen. I'm sorry. Hang on. On Bozeman Elementary, I have all these Fund 15 expenditures, but some of these expenditures that I've reported in my elementary LE actually belong to my high school. I want to go into this screen and report Fund 15 expenditures, but I'm going to say, oh, okay, I actually spent a little bit of my Title I money. One caveat I want you to note as you see this drop-down list, as each LE will have the ability to assign expenditures in this screen to any LE in the state, and we can't restrict it because if you have an interlocal agreement, we won't know if Bozeman has an interlocal agreement with Butte or Anaconda or Biddle or who knows what they have it with. So it has to be open. So be cautious when you are clicking through these. This is also allowed in an upload. So that might be an easier version, but the upload is on the web page. So I'm Bozeman Elementary. Like I said, Fund 15, I reported a bunch of expenditures that actually belong to my high school. And I think one of the confusion items is Bozeman is that this screen might allow me to report my elementary expenditures to my elementary school codes, but you can't assign to yourself because you've already reported expenditures for this LE. You already had access to all these school codes in the regular expenditure screen. So if I went in here, assign these expenditures, let me just make one up. Yeah, it's for, let's say it's for one of these grants, function code. I already have the ability to assign this particular string to any of these school codes. So it's not for the reporting LE, it's for expenditures that are in this reporting LE that belong to a separate district altogether. And my best example is, the prime applicant for the federal grant. And in your interlocal agreement, if you were to have an interlocal agreement fund, if I'm Bozeman, let's pretend I have something with Belgrade next door. I have a bunch of expenditures for Belgrade. Maybe I don't know which school it goes to. Hopefully I've communicated with Belgrade and I know that. But if I don't, and I'm assigning something that does actually fit in there, I'm going to pick any project reporter code. I'm going to say we share Digital Academy expenses for some of their students, and I spend $500 in my interlocal agreement fund, reported in my elementary fund, but I actually spent it on Belgrade Elementary. So I'm going to say that in there because when the ESSA calculation comes through, it's going to say, okay, Bozeman Elementary had reported Fund 82 expenditures of $50,000, let's say, but then in this screen I said $500,000 of the $50,000 actually belongs to another school. So the calculation will allow us to more accurately report that this $500 doesn't actually belong to Bozeman. It does belong to Belgrade. It is one of the included expenditure lines and does have that. Now, these views allow me, this first view is going to allow me to see what I have actually entered into my expenditures. In all of Fund 15 and 82. Let me close this so it's easier to see. I'm going to pull up this report, and what this report is going to tell me is everything I've reported. I'm going to try to make this so it's easier to see. Okay, that's not working. Button, my fingers aren't working, sorry. So this particular one tells me everything that I've reported in Fund Code 15 and 82. Bozeman isn't a great example for Fund 82 because I don't have any Fund 82 expenditures in there. But it's not intended to tell you everything that you should assign. So just because I have expenditures on this report doesn't mean that all these belong somewhere. This report is to allow you to see that I have reported all of these expenditures, and I need to know if I had reported some of these, it would be on this line. So right now, I haven't actually entered anything into this report. So, okay, I'm Bozeman Elementary, and I obviously haven't assigned anything, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go back into Fund 15, and I'm going to say, okay, darn, I forgot it. I better save my Bozeman High School expenditures. No, I don't really want that one. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, so I entered some on here. I have a assigned school code. The problem that I might run into, okay, I'm going to open this report and see, okay, I assigned $800 to that, to my high school. Bear with me, I'm going to get this right. The problem I'm going to run into, yeah, my $800 doesn't show up. I wonder what my problem is. My problem is that I didn't enter any of these I didn't have any of those lines already in my expenditure field, and I don't know if that makes sense. So these are all the expenditure lines I entered into my expenditure screen, but I didn't use the right coding because, I used the project reporter code that maybe I didn't use, so I'm going to pick an expenditure. 147, 465, 194, 465, 1 and 3. Okay. So, darn it, I fat fingered and entered the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm not trying to overkill this. Let me just want you to show all the things the report is going to pick up for you. Okay, and this is just comparison report. I just want to make sure I pop something in that you can see. So, okay, I'm going to go right here. Anything in here? Okay, just scroll right by it right there. Oh, so 40,000. I entered 40,000 in this line, but I've assigned a total of $1,500 to Bozeman High School. I just know I entered Bozeman High School, right? But this report is just going to tell me of these amounts. And let me address these columns quickly. On the guidance document, you see there's there's a few sections. There's a district-wide amount, a school-wide amount, and then at the bottom, there's what's not included. This is just to show you out of this expenditure string. So if you wanted to know, now let me look at my $1,500. Yes, that is an included amount because it's under the school-wide amount. So out of the $40,000, I have reallocated $1,500 to the high school. So these three columns are going to tell you where it's included in the calculation, district-wide, school-wide, or if it's not included. So this not included line, this very top one, isn't included anyway. So if I go through the work to allocate this to something else, it's throwing it out anyway. So don't try to allocate anything into this particular line. You're not doing yourself any good. If your reports are automatic and it automatically is going to generate something that's going to say, yeah, this 1354 actually belongs somewhere else, you can put it in there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just not going to help you either. And I know that seems really confusing. Oh, let me look. Sorry, I didn't see someone had a question. Can you repeat where you find the ESSA guidance document? So the guidance document, sorry, let me go over this. Let me go to the main OPI page so you can see. If you just go to opi.mt.gov, if you hover over leadership, under finance and grants section, there's this school finance section. This is anything that is related to the school finance division is in this part of the web page. But the ESSA guidance document is right on the front page of the school finance document. School finance main page, I should say. And let me put a plug in. If you haven't filled out our customer service satisfaction survey, I would love you to do that. Sidebar. Then the other question, so if you do enter expenditures into this screen for Bozeman High School, so on Bozeman Elementary, I entered these for Bozeman High School, there are these other reports that you will want to look at. So this comparison report is going to show you what you have entered into your expenditure screen in your step 7 and compare it with anything you've entered in total in this screen. But this report, because that report just summarizes everything, is going to show me, before I submit my full TFS, I want to run this report and see what I have from other districts. And this one, pause that one, that's the one. This one is the one I want to show you from this perspective. So on Bozeman Elementary, I entered it. I want to go in and look at, look, these are the expenditures I've entered in Fund 15, Fund 82 to another school. So I entered something into Fund 82 to Belgrade Elementary. I assigned these two to Bozeman High School. These are the funds. And here's the amount I've included. So I actually allocated $500 to Belgrade Elementary, but it's not even included in the calculation. So it's not going to do anything for or against Belgrade. But this one, I have entered $800 and $1,500 that will be included in the high school calculation. So let me go on the flip side. So I'm Bozeman High School. I haven't entered anything and assigned it to other districts, but I want to see what other districts have assigned to me. I'm going to go into here and see that, oh, look, I was assigned something. These lines included in this amount, and Bozeman Elementary gave it to me. The issue with this screen, and I understand that, is if you have expenditures assigned to your LE from another district, but you've already submitted your TFS, don't worry, you can still go back in and look at this report. It will still be available to you, even though the other districts have submitted. Let's say I'm Bozeman High School, Fund 82, and I've assigned a whole bunch of expenditures to Avon Elementary, and I don't have any project reporter code set up, so it's not going to work. But let's say I've assigned $5,000 to Avon Elementary, but I just fat-fingered it, didn't pay attention, submitted. Avon is not necessarily stuck with this $5,000. What's going to happen from this point is we will have another report that's going to roll up all the data. So it's going to take all the expenditure data reported in this expenditure screen, which is all your expenditures, right? Included, not included. Going to take everything out that you've reported in this screen. So Bozeman Elementary, using them again, Fund 15, I reported that these actually don't belong to my elementary. These belong somewhere else completely. So it's going to be taken out of their calculation, but then it's going to add back in anything people have assigned to me as those in elementary, and you will be able to see all of that data. What the plan will be for us to do is December 10th, districts have until December 10th to make modifications to their TFS, assuming it doesn't change fund balances. It doesn't affect a budgeted fund. We will allow those TFS expenditures. We will lock MAEFAIRS expenditures down. We will run the calculation, and my plan is to have another screen available out there for each LE to be able to see what their calculation looks like. And everything is driven, again, by the enrollment for that year. And let's say I was Bozeman High School. I know I'm picking on them, and they're both the same business people, but Bozeman High School, Bozeman Elementary gave me a bunch of expenditures. I contest them. I think that they've inflated them. They're wrong in their interlocal agreement fund. At that point, you will be able to come back to us at OPI and say, these aren't valid. I question these, and we will work through those. Since this is the first year of the reporting calculation, we definitely want to have that communication open and give an opportunity for you to contest that these don't belong to me. So my goal for today is to make sure that you understand, hopefully it's not overly confusing, that this additional reporting screen is for everybody, whether you have to report by school code or not. It is to allow you to enter your expenditures that you've reported in your TFS that belong to another LE entirely, so that it can be removed from the calculation for your ESSA expenditures. So even though you have one address and you don't report, you're not required to report by school code, you always can, and we are encouraging everyone to work towards that. You only use this screen if you have expenditures that are not to the assigned LE that reported those expenditures. And anybody that has a Fund 82 probably will have expenditures that are not designated to this particular LE. And I don't think we have anybody else in here with data that might have a Fund 82. So I would anticipate that if you have a Fund 82, that not all of those expenditures probably belong to that LE, especially if you're one of those elementary, high school districts, especially, Fund 15. And one of the primary reasons we really needed to collect this data is because federal expenditures, so grants given to schools, have to be reported at the school code level. So we either had to split up that prime applicant idea, which allows you the one application, the one award, blah, 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 or we had to have a separate reporting screen. So the separate reporting screen was preferred by the work group. So this is our first year. I know there's going to be a lot of confusion. I want people to really understand we will have an opportunity to have the data out there to look at, information that we will go through the calculation. It's a lengthy calculation. In the end, you will know what that number is. It will be published on your ESSA report cards probably February, March is the goal. So it's a quick turnaround time. So we are working internally to get that calculation out there, but getting the data was the primary concern. And so that's kind of the general gist of this screen. I'm not sure. I'm going to unmute. I'm hoping people have questions, because I'm sure I may have confused somebody. So let me unmute you. So mute your end, please, if you don't have a question. Okay, what are our questions?
Kara, can you hear me? Hello. I'm Della from circle. Okay, so we have Title I, our prime applicant is the elementary. So how do I go by my number of students that are in Title I in the high school to assign those expenditures to my high school, or how do I do that for Title I?
Yeah, and Della, do you know how much you approximately spend of the Title I on high school students?
No, I don't. I would have to look. I would have to get with the teacher and see how many even Title I pupils they have, like in the high school. Because I don't really. It's just basically our salary, and then she got a smart board this year. I mean, our Title I is pretty simple. So I know, the smart board was used for the elementary, but her salary, should I split it out by the number of kids in the high school that have Title I services?
That would be a reasonable allocation. I think it's either the kids or the amount of time that she knows she spends approximately 40% of her time with the high school and 60 with the elementary. Then you could split it that way, or by students. Okay. Yeah, sometimes a reasonable allocation makes sense.
Okay, and then my Fund 82, I have a high school and elementary district here, and usually, like when I do those, I bet I could do almost 50-50 on that. That's why I take it out of Fund 82, is because, it's used by both districts pretty equally. Do you think that's a fair way to split out my Fund 82?
Mm-hmm. I would defer to you. However, you think that allocation, if that's about what those expenditures are looking like, then that makes sense.
Okay, so then I do go into, like, normally I go in to enter my expenditures. I don't enter anything in that one report you were showing, the comparison report. I don't enter anything there, do I? It all gets entered.
Go ahead.
Like I split it out and then I go in like I have always done and put it in my expenditure TFS tab.
Yes, you do. You enter it in this regular expenditure screen. Okay. You're going to enter all your information in there. And then that report will just print out what expenditures you have in those two funds only, so you can see what those expenditures are. And it gives you a one-stop shopping view of what you think you may need to allocate somewhere else. So if you look at it, you can go, oh, yeah, part of that's got to go to this school code. It's meant to give you just a comparison of what's available.
Okay. I do have another question, but I don't know if you're going to cover that later on or what, because we're all one school code right now, but we're going to try to work towards, we want to go and sit down with Tyler and, make it so that we can upload our report eventually. We can't do that now because I need to adjust some of my, expenditure strings. So like right now we've got say I'm going to pay out of the elementary and it's 101. Where and how many digits is that designation for each school code? Is it like the next set of numbers, or where is it?
Are you saying the ones that are available in MAEFAIRS?
Well, I'm saying like when I set up my stuff, where do I set up? Where do we want to tell Tyler we want those numbers that will designate what school code we're going to spend out of?
Oh, and I don't know if they have another field available to you to allow you to do that. Let me look at. Did you say circle?
Yep.
Okay, so you do have an elementary and a high school LE?
Yes.
Okay, so in your elementary, you have these three school codes available to you. So when you try to upload, you're going to want these three school codes available. So I know some software vendors don't have another 4-digit field available, so some of them are using a 2-digit.
So those are the actual numbers we're going to use in our expenditure string to designate the school code. like when I go to pay a bill every month, and I have a BOPED bill, I do like Fund 101, and then I use that school code in my expenditure string?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, gosh. See, the light finally went on. That's
okay.
what the other 4 digits that I need in my expenditure code. It's just where we're going to place those.
Yes, yes.
Does it matter, like, when we're uploading? Say, like, we don't now, but next year if we get everything done and we want to upload, does it matter going into MAEFAIRS where those 4 digits are located?
Yes, we do have an upload format. So let me look at there it is. So we have an expenditure upload template available on our website. This is the format your upload has to be in. So LE school code is the 4-digit school code is the second one. Fiscal year, your fund code, and it has to be the 2-digit fund code, so 01. And then the sub-fund is for Fund 61 only. All your other funds need to be blank. Your program code, function code, project report code, and that.
Okay.
Yep. So this
And
is the
that was
format
that
have a file.
upload template is what we want to look at.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, if your vendor needs some assistance from OPI, we're more than happy to work with them to make sure they have, because we have TFS revenue uploads. And then this additional reporting screen, we also have an upload available. Very similar, but it has to be in this order. So if, you know, if your vendor is able to do that, these are the great ways to get it done. Yeah,
okay. And so I've got a contact there that I'm definitely going to encourage her to get on your, because I see she hasn't been they haven't been going to the work group.
Yeah, no, they did kind of initially at the beginning and then kind of dropped off, but we would be more than happy to have them participate.
Okay, that helps a lot. I was not understanding that those school codes are actually going to be part of our expenditure string.
Yes, they are. Yes.
That's how it is.
Yep,
Okay.
and these are the ones you have available. Yep.
Okay, and like in our high school, we only have the one. Oh,
yep.
yeah, so we just have every high school expenditure will have that 0733 in it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. That helps a lot. Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, that would be part of your,
Just when you put the numbers.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want more to create it, but
So does anybody else have questions? I know this is kind of a quick overview, and I always set aside way too much time. I don't want to overkill the topic with too many details, but the first step in the calculation is going to be just getting the data, and then we will make sure we've communicated what the calculation will look like before everything is posted. That will come at a later date. But the data, if we can get the right core data. So if you have expenditures in Fund 15 or Fund 82 that do not belong to that LE, please do report them on this screen.
Yeah.
Was there a question? So I see attendance center. Now, the question with the attendance center for a colony school is, I've had other requests to ask for additional school codes. In order to actually establish a separate school code, they have to be able to meet accreditation separately. There's a whole bunch of requirements and reporting is done. So if you really want to pursue that, get a hold of Nika and she can go through those details with you. Otherwise, they're reported in the same place that you are reporting their attendance. So when you report their attendance in AIMS, is it reported under the attendance centers as well? Michelle, are you there? Oh, yeah. So then if it's all in your one location, it'll just all be calculated with one number. So.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Ellen. What if you have a private school that you're providing funding to through title?
To the courthouse, yep.
Say that again.
Do you have a private school that's receiving title money?
Yeah.
Well, already in my,
So
I think.
what you can do,
And I think, unless you want to change something on your W-4, whatever, I think.
feedback, let me just,
Probably.
Yeah.
okay, so what you will want to do, let's pretend that your circle, Fund 15, you can save Fund 15 or Fund 80 to expenditures without an assigned LE in school code, and what that's going to tell me is that you have expenditures that are not associated with another school district but aren't associated with you, another public school district, I should say. So you can save those with blanks here but still enter the expenditures down here. And I would anticipate we would see some of that with your Fund 15 and your Fund 82, so if you had an interlocal agreement that may be included, yeah, either a private school or some,
Okay.
whatever else. Yeah, does that make sense? So just leave the assigned LE and school code blank and enter the information, and we still will exclude it from your calculation. We just won't add it to someone else.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
No problem. Is there other questions?
Oh,
The co-op does not need to complete this screen unless you have expenditures that really aren't for one of your member districts. Right now, co-ops are going to be allocated, their expenditures will be allocated to their member districts separately, and then we'll have a co-op work group that's going to talk about if there's a way for us to allocate those based on more of an actual basis.
Kara, where did you go to get that template that we were looking at before?
Sure. I'll start here. Again, on leadership, if you go to the school finance page, it's actually under the accounting tab, right down here. So we have the upload instructions, then we have the three templates. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just another note, this isn't necessarily related to this screen, but we do allow you to upload by fund this year. So if I'm finding that it's overwhelming trying to upload all the funds at once, if I want to upload all the funds at once, I leave my fund code blank. If I want to upload an individual fund at a time, I'm going to have the fund selected and then import my file. So if you want all your expenditures at once, make sure you have no fund code. If you want each individual fund, make sure you have a fund selected when you upload. Are there other questions? I'm sorry, that was pretty quick. I know you might have more questions as you get through working through the screens and all that, and that's why I wanted to wait till MAEFAIRS was open, not take up too much time, but let you see what these screens might look like. And again, do call if you have questions, or myself or Rihanna, or Carrie, let me know. Or Nicole, too. Nicole is a good resource. Any other general questions I can answer while we're on the phone?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to add more reporting, and hopefully it was as seamless as possible. And I appreciate everyone's help and assistance with it. So do call if you have questions. I will let you go and get back to your MAEFAIRS fun work. So call if you have questions.